It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host for the day, Jake Schaft, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in greater West Bloomfield. Lots of big stuff to get into. Let's jump right into it. Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital is Greater West Bloomfield's largest employer. While the medical staff does the life-saving, other key members of their team are making people's trips just a little bit easier. I spoke to Keith Fishman from the hospital about these special workers and their very important role on the team.
The Goldman Therapy Dog Program is in the West Bloomfield Hospital. It's in the hospital downtown and in several other Henry Ford facilities. The job of the program is basically to lift the mood of the room. It's for patients, it's for staff, it's for visitors into the hospital. And again, the whole idea is when people come to a hospital, there's not a lot of great things happening. They're in the hospital because they're not feeling well, or they're in the hospital to visit a loved one. The idea is to just give them a few moments to feel much better, to boost their morale, to bring a smile, to bring some calm into their day. I was just in a room prior to this with a therapy dog, and the mom said, you know, I would come to this hospital just because I know the dogs are going to be there.
How many dogs do you have with the program?
The program currently has 8 dogs that are owned by the program, and to add to that, we have owner-handled dogs, of which we have 41. We have George, who is about 5.5 years old, who is a golden retriever. And we have Josie, who is a yellow lab. She's also about 5 years old. So they're seasoned veterans. They know their way around the hospital, and they both have huge fan clubs in the hospital. They've been here for a while, and it's not unusual to be walking down the hallway to have somebody chase you down to say, wait, I haven't seen George or I haven't seen Josie yet today.
How does that morale help people with the other things they're dealing with, whatever those may be in the hospital?
Anytime you have a respite, a moment of morale boost, a moment to smile, it lasts a lot longer than the moment that you have it. Plus, if you want to get technical, heart rates go down, blood pressures go down, endorphin levels go up, which is kind of the happy hormone. Cortisol goes down, which is something that you get with stress. So it has a lot of physiological benefits as well. It's one of those ultimate win-win situations. The dogs win, they get loving. The people win because they're not being judged and they had a moment to smile and feel better. A parent feels better because maybe their child who's in the hospital smiled for the first time today. So it really has a wonderful ripple effect.
It's almost as if the dogs are like the secret additional doctors of the Henry Ford Hospital.
It really is. I tell people the dogs are like the doctors. They make people feel better. The only difference is you don't get a big bill at the end. It's for free. They never judge. They're happy to see you no matter if your hair isn't looking so good that day, if your makeup isn't straight that day. They're just happy to see you. They're not judging. They're just there to make you feel better. And let's face it, we can all use a little bit of that.
He's absolutely right. Those dogs can certainly turn any frown upside down, and it's great to see all of the incredible work that they do for the Henry Ford Hospital, and it's great that the hospital has programs like these to help their patients. So big thank you to Keith Fishman for his time in telling me about this program. Local students are building lifelong bonds and developing critical life skills, all while tackling the challenge of performing Shakespeare. Our own Kevin McIntosh has the story.
West Bloomfield High School's theater department is bringing a classic to life with their recent production of William Shakespeare's A Midsummer's Night Dream. Beyond the stage, this performance highlights the incredible community support that brings productions like this to life.
My principal, Eric Pace, really supports me and believes in me and really helps me get the department to where I hope it to be. But also I have an incredible team of staff members that are super positive, and we have the same values and we have the same ideology for the theater departments.
Having everyone on the same page is critical to the success of the overall department, as well as the individual students who take pride in the status and the history of the theater department.
So here at West Bloomfield Theater, we're known to have really high quality productions, and that's really motivating to know that the staff and our parents really support us and want us to do well.
The support from the parents, staff, and fellow students not only provides motivation, but it can also add pressure. One student actress explains if she gets nervous performing in front of her community.
As years have gone by, no. Last year, I played Scarlett in Clue, and I actually was not nervous opening night. It was more so the high school previews. I was really nervous to do that in front of my peers because I'm scared are they going to judge me? Or are they not going to like the show? Are they going to think we look stupid? But then once I got over that and I started thinking about how confident I really am, it just made me realize that I'm doing this for a reason. And since I want to do this as my career, I have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Overall, the contributions from residents of the greater West Bloomfield area builds confidence in the students and growth in the theater program. Every ticket bought and monetary donation from people and local organizations makes students believe in their futures of the arts.
So we work hand in hand, too, with our Theater Booster Club, which is parents or community members that are supportive of West Bloomfield High School Theater. And then this year, we are being sponsored by Expressions Music Academy, and it's really great. It got me excited. Now I want to seek out other sponsors because it was such a wonderful way to make an impact in the community and for them to give back. It's just very helpful all the way around.
It's clear that the West Bloomfield community plays a vital role in supporting and making these productions come to life, from cheering in the audience to providing resources to the students. From West Bloomfield High School, Civic Center TV, I'm Kevin McIntosh.
I always love hearing these stories about high school theater. It takes me back to my time in high school. I was even in a Shakespeare play myself. I was Egeon in A Comedy of Errors, and I know that learning these lines is no easy task. So major kudos to all of those kids, and big thank you to Kevin McIntosh for going out and getting that story. The West Bloomfield Township Fire Department is receiving a major upgrade thanks to over $500,000 in grants from the Michigan Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and the Department of Homeland Security. These funds are being used to purchase a new Rosenbauer 101-foot Cobra fire truck designed for top performance. This cutting-edge vehicle features a state-of-the-art engine, water pump, and more. You can see the photo of the fire truck if you're watching on Civic Center TV. It certainly does look high-tech. Lots of great achievements and lots of great tools and resources for the fire department to use. This new truck will enhance firefighting capabilities and ensure better safety for the community. So big congratulations to the fire department on this very exciting new addition. The winds of change have made their way to West Bloomfield with the recent retirement of Howard Rosenberg. After serving 16 years on the township board, he has shown immense leadership and commitment to his community. And joining us now on The Splash right now is the man himself, the now retired West Bloomfield Township trustee, Howard Rosenberg. Howard, good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you?
Really good and glad to be talking with you. Really interested to get your thoughts on this big change. Obviously, big congratulations to all of your years of service as you head off to retirement. What's going through your head right now as this is official?
Well, about a month ago, I started to feel nostalgic, and I started to look back at the beginning minutes. You know, we keep minutes in our archives of every meeting we had, and I just kind of looked back at the minutes of the first few meetings, and it brought back memories of how we got started, which was not that easy. You know, there were 7 of us who were all elected at the same time, and so 7 of us entered with 7 different ideas of how things should go, and we had to begin to. The first thing we had to do was to approve a budget. We had a month to approve a budget based on state law. And we got that done. And then we had to figure out who our department heads were, how to relate to them, how to make sure things work smoothly, how to keep supporting the department heads. But the thing was, that was 2008, and that's when the Great Recession hit. So that's when all of our problems, our financial problems hit, so then the next thing we had to do was figure out how not to lay off anybody and how to keep the shop open.
Wow, that's certainly a lot to be dealing with right as you get into the position, but you've proven yourself all throughout these years. And after having served on the township for 16 years, how have you seen things evolve and change over time?
Well, the first thing that changed over time was money. In the beginning, we lost close to 40% of our revenue. And so we had a problem, especially paying police and fire. And we were facing, very, very significant deficit. And so we figured out that in order to keep us going, we needed another tax. We needed to ask the public for an additional money for public safety. And we expressed it to our unions, and we talked about it internally, and we decided to go to the public and ask them for an additional millage. And they supported us. I think they supported us because they trusted us, because we were honest with them about what we needed and how we needed it. And we weren't top heavy in our management, and we were willing to open our books to them. So they trusted us, and the unions trusted us. We got the money, so we didn't have to have any layoffs in public safety.
That's great, and that's awesome that you guys were able to make those changes and you were able to work well with the rest of the township. And in those 16 years, what are some of the biggest things and qualities that you're going to take away from this position?
I think the one of the things I'm most proud of is the Town Center Task Force. That happened after a number of issues came up on the board, mostly the request for waivers from the previous overlay district. There was a zoning law that overlaid the regular zoning law in the town center, which is Maple and Orchard Lake Road. And every time a developer came, they asked for a waiver. And so I was really tired of giving waivers. If that wasn't working and the developers kept asking for waivers, then we had to look at the overlay district. So the board agreed, and we formed a town center task force, which I chaired. And it took us 2 years. I mean, we spoke with a lot of people, with experts from the universities, with town planning people from other communities. We came up with a new overlay district, which now is beginning to show results. The apartment buildings that are being built there, the various things along the easements, and you can see the results of it as the developers start to change their various strip malls. You'll see it even more.
Yeah, and if you just drive through the city of West Bloomfield, you can see these changes everywhere you look, and that is just a testament to all of the incredible work that you have done over these last 16 years. For those just joining us on the Splash Live, we have the newly retired West Bloomfield Township trustee Howard Rosenberg talking about his years of service to the community as he heads off into retirement. And Howard, I do want to ask, after having served 16 years, what got you to the decision to decide to step down?
Because it was 16 years. It was time. It was time. I felt that it was time for the township to have a new voice. I felt it was time for the township to have a new look, a new person looking at the budgets, a new person interacting with department heads, the department heads interacting with a new person. It's not that we were becoming too familiar. I was very familiar with each of the department heads, and I respect them very much. In fact, one of the reasons I felt like I could retire was because of the exemplary department heads. We have great department heads that are absolutely terrific at the jobs they do, and they keep us all looking good. And so my job was just to support them and make sure they had what they needed.
That's great, and that's awesome that you're looking out for the rest of the township. And you're going to be, and there's going to be some great additions coming to the township, including Vincent Kirkwood, who's going to be taking your place on the board. Are you excited to see what he's going to bring to the team?
I am very excited to see what he's going to bring to the team. He's a new young person who will bring new ideas to the team, which is exactly what I hope. I met with Vincent. He's a great guy, and I think he's going to be a terrific addition to the board.
I think you are absolutely right. He's going to do great things for the township of West Bloomfield. And it sounds like you think the township is going to be in really, really good hands with the team that's currently at the helm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, the police chief, Mike Patton, is going to be retiring in January. And that's, a bittersweet thing because he was the best decision I ever made to vote for him 10 years ago. And he's decided it's time to him to retire. But we have a great young deputy chief that we've appointed. And I was lucky that I was still on the board to be able to vote for him. Dale Young is going to be a great guy. So 2 young, new people coming on board.
Yes, Mike Patton and Dale Young both bring so many great things to the city of West Bloomfield, and both will absolutely fulfill their role. Well, Mike Patton did fulfill his role, and Dale Young will fulfill this new role as well. So what would you say are some of the biggest things that are to come for the city of West Bloomfield as these new changes come into effect?
Well, I think that it's, you have to build on what you have. And there's been a great deal of development. And so you have to manage the development. Not every development is the right development. You have to approve the correct developments. And you have to keep your eye on that. You have to make sure that you don't just approve everything that comes along. You have to approve the things that are right for West Bloomfield, which is not necessarily the things that are right for Novi or for Royal Oak. West Bloomfield is West Bloomfield, and it needs to maintain its identity.
That's right, and all of the great work that the township does help it to maintain its identity. Howard, one more question before we let you go. What's next for you as you bid the township board goodbye? What's up next for your future?
Well, I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing. I do a little artwork for myself. I do some painting. I do some sculpting. I like to read, and we're going to travel. We're going to travel this winter, and we're going to see some things.
There you go. Enjoying that retirement, going out and seeing the world. I love to hear it. Howard, thank you so much for your time today and for joining us on The Splash.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Really happy to hear Howard's story and to hear of everything he brought to West Bloomfield. We wish him all the best as he heads off into retirement, and we wish all the best for Vincent Kirkwood as he comes in to take Howard's place on the township board. Lots of great things to come from Vincent. An engaging holiday party for the community is making its way right here to West Bloomfield. Here to tell us more, we have the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce Executive Director, Suzanne Levine, joining us on The Splash. Suzanne, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning to you.
Really happy to have you with us and really interested in hearing about this holiday party. How great is it that, because this is the 9th year that this party has been going on, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. 9 years ago, I decided that although we are a small nonprofit, that there should be a way that we can give back to the community. So for 9 years, we have been looking and scouting for smaller, independent nonprofits that could benefit from having a party in their favor. And so we're so excited. It's a great event. And the reason it's a not-so-white elephant, a white elephant party, usually you bring a wrapped gift and people can exchange them. This one, we bring a gift and we sell raffle items, and then people can pick a gift and all the money goes directly to the charity. So it's such a great way to celebrate the holiday season. And we're so fortunate that Aurora Italian Restaurant is sponsoring this also. They do a great job for us. So it's just a win-win for everybody during this holiday season when we really need to give back to the community.
Interesting. And you're absolutely right. It is always a great time to give back. I loved hearing about the rules of this because we play White Elephant at our Christmas party every single year. So it's interesting the way you guys are doing it. But how great is it that the holiday season and this party are coming around again for this year?
it's just such a great opportunity for not only to network and party with our chamber members in the community, but also give back to a very worthwhile charity, Sandcastles Grief Support, Henry Ford Sandcastles Grief and Support for families and children and families. And it's really, we know there are a lot of people during this holiday season that, it's a very difficult time for them because maybe they've lost someone they love. Maybe maybe their pocketbook is not as full as they want it to be. So it's just a great way to celebrate all of us, and we made it. And looking forward to 2025. And every year, it's another interesting charity that most people don't even know exists. We know about the larger ones, but these are smaller ones that people have no idea. And so it's a great way to introduce the community to different ways to give back, whether they volunteer or they give, through their wallet.
You're absolutely right. And it's great that you guys are doing all of this great work with these local charities. I do want to talk a little bit more about Henry Ford Sandcastles. How did that relationship come to be, and what has it been like to really help highlight and promote these other great charities?
Well, Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital is one of our biggest sponsors, and the grief support contacted me. They wanted to join the chamber, so they've been very active because we know that the best way for people to get to know your business, your organization, is to attend meetings. And so that's why networking is so important. I do not believe you will ever be able to replace that one-on-one connection. You can send out flyers and e-blasts. You can do all of that as an adjunct, but I really believe the most important thing is for people to get to know you, and you are the best, representative of your business, and let people know what you do and how worthwhile it is and how you can hopefully change a life. I mean, these are children that really need support, and the families. They've gone through some devastating loss. And we know that sometimes it takes a long time to even stop feeling this very acute pain. I know for me too, I've lost my parents. It's been a long time, but you never really get over it. It's just that the pain dulls a little bit. And so to have support of other people that have gone through similar situations and hear their stories and know that there is this great organization that supports, people that are grieving, it's, we all need someone to be able to lean on, to talk to listen, to validate our feelings. So that's why I'm so excited to partner with them this year.
Suzanne Levine with the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce is joining us on the Splash Live today to talk about the upcoming Not So White Elephant holiday party and the work that the Commerce is doing with local charities to benefit the community. And Suzanne, I want to go into a little more about the community side of things. How has the community come out to support this event, and what have you seen from the community during parties like these?
It is so amazing because the community, first of all, wants to network during this holiday season and connect. But what has been great, like, for example, last year we did the Gary Bernstein Health Clinic that most people are totally unaware of. It's a free health clinic where they offer free medical, dental, some pharmaceutical aid also. And what's great is if a person can't even drive there, they will make sure that they can pay for an Uber. So people didn't know about this organization, and we raised a lot of money for them. But for them, it was even more important to get the community invested, to know that maybe they're too embarrassed to say that they can't afford medical or dental health. Well, here's an organization that donates their services for free. They have U of M dental students that are on the premises, and they have doctors. It's such an amazing organization, and most of the community was unaware of it. So I think that's the most important thing, is letting the community be aware of these smaller organizations that might not have the resources to let everyone know what they're about and how they are there to serve the community. Of course, there's so many worthwhile charities. I mean, I could have probably an event every single day to benefit someone, but, I'm trying to pick ones that are lesser well-known, to give them the exposure and hopefully get volunteers or much needed, money, because we know when the economy is not great, people tend to hold back because they're the ones that are in need. But even if people can only just give $1, I think that's an amazing thing, just make sure that we support our charities and our nonprofits the best to our ability.
I'm so glad you mentioned volunteering, because I am curious, how can the community volunteer their time and their services to the Commerce and to an event like this?
Well, I think the best way is to, reach out to us and see, what organizations are in need. But also, if they just Google nonprofit organizations, and if there's something that speaks to them, maybe they have a family member that unfortunately has Alzheimer's or is suffering from cancer, or from, maybe they have these grief issues, reaching out to these organizations and saying, how can I help? Maybe it's just stuffing envelopes. Maybe it's actually going out into different businesses and handing out brochures and talking about the organization and what they need. So there's all different ways. Maybe there's a canister that they can put in a business, especially during this time. We know we have, the bell ringers at the Salvation Army, et cetera, at some of the, larger, like a Walmart, et cetera. But maybe there's just a canister they can put in, that people don't even know that this organization exists. So I think it's really important during this time. Everyone can give back in a way that is appropriate for them, but certainly, thinking about your fellow human, about your fellow neighbor, about people that might not be talking about the things that they need because they're too embarrassed. There are organizations out there that can help you.
That's great to hear, and that's great to hear of everything that you're doing to help these organizations. And I want to go back to the actual party itself, the Not So White Elephant Party that's taking place on December 3rd. You did mention the actual white elephant, or not so white elephant, thing that's going to be taking place. What other events will be there, or what other opportunities will be there for the community at this event?
Well, it's a great opportunity because we'll talk about some of our upcoming events, like our installation of Board of Officers that's coming up in January at Connect. And I find it really interesting because there are people that have never connected before. And I always tell people, bring business cards. You can bring your brochures. You can hand them out. And, connect with one another, because this is, a convivial occasion. People are more relaxed. So it's not like a high pressure situation where you have to talk about your business, but it's a really wonderful, relaxed event where people know that they're coming together for a great charity and, want to do business. It's like a very relaxed atmosphere. And what's so fun is, we sell raffle tickets, and when we call their number, they can pick any wrapped gift. So it's always interesting to see the psychology of how people decide to pick what gift they want. And then all the money just goes right to that charity that evening. So, and they can also, I believe the charity will also have a way to make an online donation. So it's just a really fun, relaxed time to celebrate that we all survived this year, that we're all here to support one another, because that's what the Chamber is all about, supporting our community and support one another. And really, the more that you can connect with another business and maybe promote them, I'm sure there are ways that we haven't even thought of, that two businesses can come together to support one another that doesn't cost them any money. Maybe it's just having business cards, in their business. Maybe it's having a canister. Maybe it's just having an event at their establishment. So, we're looking forward to 2025 and trying to do more of these really fun events where people can network and hopefully get business, from one another.
Suzanne, great to hear about all these incredible projects, and really interested to hear what's going to be coming up in the brand new year. One more quick question before I let you go. Where can people go to get a little bit more information about what to expect with this event?
Well, they can either go to our website, westbloomfieldchamber.com. They can contact me at wbloomfieldchamber@gmail.com. And I'm always happy to answer questions, 248-626-3636. And the interesting thing is, I'm not really sure why, but I guess when people Google West Bloomfield, we come up, and I do answer questions that are totally unrelated to the Chamber. People ask me how to pay their taxes. I'd love to accept the money, but, so we're a great a source of information for people. If I don't have the answer, then I always try to direct them to a source that can. And thank you again for all that you do at Civic Center TV, covering these events, interviewing people to let the community know about all our great resources that we offer that unfortunately people are just unaware and they don't really know how to get the direction they need.
Well, thank you so much, Suzanne, and we appreciate everything that you do as well. Suzanne Levine with the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce, we thank you so much for your time today.
And thank you again.
Holiday cheer is on the horizon, and I can't wait for this great holiday party to make its way to West Bloomfield. The Not-So-White Elephant Party. It's going to be taking place on December 3rd at Aurora Italiana. Big thank you to Suzanne for her time in telling us all about this great event. And we got plenty of other great stories and great topics to get into right after this break, including talking about how to prepare yourself for the very busy holiday travel and tips to stay safe on the road. Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. Bringing you stories and memories from Sylvan Lake, Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
Hi, I'm Chris Fry, Park Superintendent, West Bloomfield Parks. Congratulations, Civic Center TV, on 1 million views on YouTube. Thank you for all you do in the community, and thank you for having me on The Splash throughout the season to talk about activities out in the parks. Chris Fry, proud to be 1 in a million.
1 in 4 Michigan homes has high levels of radon, a naturally occurring radioactive gas known to cause lung cancer. It doesn't matter where you live or what type of home you have. You won't even know it's there unless you test. So don't wait. Testing is cheap and easy. And if there's a problem, it's simple to fix. Visit michigan.gov/radon to learn more.
We took action. Will you?
This is Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. On cable and the radio. On the web too, and on social media. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Jake Schaff, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. With the holidays right around the corner, our roads are going to be busier than ever before, and travel as a whole is going to be very, very hectic. The TSA just projected that the 3 busiest travel days are going to be the Tuesday and Wednesday before Thanksgiving and the Sunday after the holiday. And that every single one of those days, the TSA agency is expecting to screen about 3 million people. That's going to mean a lot of people in the air, but also a lot of people are going to be on the roads more than ever, which means safety is of the utmost importance. Here to tell us with some tips on how to stay safe on the roads this Thanksgiving season, we have West Bloomfield Police Department's Community Relations Officer, Zena Daly, joining us today on The Splash. Zena, good morning.
Good morning, Jake. How are you?
Really, really good, and glad to have you with us to talk about this very important information to get out there as people continue to make their plans for this Thanksgiving season. How busy do you expect things to be in West Bloomfield for the holidays?
Well, as you said, the busiest days are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday after Thanksgiving. And AAA projects that there will be almost 80 million people traveling. And that's not just flying, but also on the roads, at least 50 miles or more from home. So we expect that through West Bloomfield, we'll be getting a ton of people leaving the township, but also coming in.
Wow, it's going to be definitely some new environments for a lot of people, maybe some roads that they're not familiar with. What are some common factors that might pose an issue to people who are traveling out of state or people that are coming into a state like Michigan?
Well, you want to be prepared, right? People are always rushing. As much as you try to plan, you end up running late to get to the airport, especially if that's where you're going. You want to get there on time. So if you can prepare this week before, before Tuesday, even start on the weekend, start preparing before Tuesday arrives so that you have a checklist. You want to make sure you have all your proper identifications so that when you do get to the airport, there's nothing to worry about. Pack light, make sure that you've secured your home, unplugged anything that needs to be unplugged, put that on your checklist, make sure all your windows are locked. And more importantly, when it comes to traveling out of state or if you're going to be away from home for an extended period of time, a lot of people like to post on social media that where they're going, how long they're going for, when they're returning. And that's just exposing yourself and letting people know that you're not going to be home and your home is open to them to come into, right? So you want to make sure that if you're going to post anything, wait till you come back before you post those pictures or saying, just say, hey, we went out of town instead of we're going out of town in advance. And again, make sure those windows and your doors are all locked, secured. Your gates, if you have like a gated yard or a privacy fence, make sure all those are locked and secure. And if you have security cameras or a Ring camera, make sure all of those are functioning properly as well.
All right, a lot of important information for everyone to take into consideration. Now, Zena, having been a police officer for a while and seeing a lot of things around this holiday season, what are some common things you end up seeing around this time of year?
For people that are coming into the township from out of town, and they're staying with relatives, you're going to see that sometimes if they end up going out, they'll end up coming back late at night and going to the wrong home because they're not familiar with the area. A lot of the houses tend to look the same to them. So make sure that you, as the person hosting, make sure you have their address written in their phone or somewhere and put it in their pocket. If you're a resident of the township, you're going to see a lot more traffic coming in and out of your subdivision. So just be aware, be vigilant, know that there is a reason for this traffic. It's definitely due to the holidays, but just be aware of, the coming and goings of, in your subdivision, your street, your neighborhood.
All right. Yes, absolutely. Very important things to stay aware of. And how will the rest of the police department be working to maintain road safety this Thanksgiving?
So Thanksgiving Day, you have a couple events, right? You have the Thanksgiving Day parade. So there's a lot of traffic going to and coming back into the township. That starts from 9 to 12. And then you have the football game at 12:30 downtown. So you'll have people coming back home from that. What about between 4 and 5 maybe? You'll have people that are drinking, that plan to drink at these events. If you are one of those people, make sure that you have a designated driver. Use a ride share. We tend to see a lot of traffic and we see a lot of intoxicated drivers. We don't love that on the holidays. We don't love that any day, but especially on the holidays and taking people away from their family when we need to. We don't want to do that. We don't want that for you. So to keep yourself safe, to keep other drivers, people safe, especially if you are driving and if you are intoxicated and you decide that you're going to drive and you're downtown, there's a ton of people down there. So you just want to be safe. You want to make sure that you've already planned ahead as to how you're going to travel. And that comes back to, again, if you're hosting, make sure that you help your family out with a ride share or being their designated driver for them. So these events, and then, you have all the parties on Thanksgiving Day, and we tend to see, we get calls usually in the evening as people have had their dinner, and again, they may be drinking, and before it becomes anything more than just an argument, because it does tend to happen when there's a lot of family together, please make sure you call us. Let us come out there. We can try to diffuse it. Sometimes people just have to leave and go home. We'll make sure they get there safely, but to avoid anything more serious.
Glad to hear of all of these great resources and tips to keep everyone safe this holiday season. Zena, before I let you go, where can people go to gain a little more information about this topic?
You want to go to tsa.gov for your traveling needs because you want to make sure you have everything that you need ahead of time. Be prepared. You don't want to get there and there's things in your bag that you're not supposed to have. And now you're rushing again. We're going to have some things posted on our social media. Go to our Facebook page. By the end of today, we'll have some things on there as well. But other than that, you could just go online and look up some safety tips.
Always great resources right there online. Zena Daly, the Community Relations Officer for the West Bloomfield Police Department, we thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Glad to hear of all of these resources and glad to hear of how the police department is working to keep everybody safe this holiday season as Thanksgiving is quickly approaching, and there's going to be some very, very similar things on Christmas as well. And if you want to see more information and more videos on how to keep yourself safe and for a bunch of other topics, you can check them out on our website at civiccentertv.com, or you can scan the QR code that you see on our screen if you are watching on Civic Center TV. Just scan the QR code. That'll take you right to the website, and that'll give you access to all of our clips and all of our shows to give any information that you need for what you need to know. Lots of great resources out there and all right there at your fingertips. But as the holiday season continues on, it's also still hunting season. It's a beloved pastime, but in West Bloomfield, there are options to still get your hunting fix without ever having to leave your hometown. Here to tell us more is the Secretary for Detroit Archers in West Bloomfield, Kevin Marshall, who now joins us on the Splash Live. Kevin, good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Really good, and really happy to have you with us to talk about this, because hunting, obviously, this is a very, very busy time of year for the sport. I know you just mentioned you just came back from a hunting trip when we spoke.
I did.
How does Detroit Archers help people that can't really travel right now but still want to have that hunting experience?
Well, it's a challenge in populated areas to find places where you can participate in the sport legally. Most of the communities have, if they permit hunting at all within the community, it's based on how large the piece of property is. I believe West Bloomfield, you have to have at least, I don't know, it's like 5 acres or something like that in order to be able to hunt within the township. And I think they have restrictions on probably archery only within the city or within the township. But we kind of worked, don't really have any active programs for that, but it's kind of everybody kind of helps each other around the club and lets people know where spots might be and where opportunities could be to hunt within Oakland County.
That's awesome, and that's always great that you guys are talking to each other and filling each other in on these great spots. And for those people who might be willing to travel just a little bit to one of these spots, what are some close by hunting spots that you would recommend?
Well, I think if you get up to some of the state land, if it's for public land up near Bald Mountain Recreation Area up in Lake Orion kind of area, or out near Kensington, Milford, that area, and whatever the state land that's available. I hunt further north, so I'm not a real into the best spots around Southeast Michigan, but pretty much any place you look on the DNR website where the state of Michigan DNR website, it'll tell you where hunting is permitted, and also there's links in there to where you can hunt private land, where some landowners give permission to hunters and they've got sign-in requirements and rules, but you can get access to some private land if the landowner permits it.
Okay. Lots of interesting spots. Glad to hear your thoughts on all of this, and great areas for local hunters to stop by. But there's also opportunities for people who might be willing to learn hunting. I mean, I've certainly never hunted before, and I want to know, what resources do you have with archers that can help teach beginners who are looking to start learning about a sport like hunting?
Well, we have offered, I'm not sure if we have any classes this year, but we offer State of Michigan Department of Natural Resources hunter safety courses that run through the club, which if you're born after, I think, around 1975, you need to have a hunter safety certificate to purchase a license in Michigan. And that gives you the basics on safety and ethics and those kinds of topics. And then just working with people, if they come to the club, you can get your practice in. And archery especially is something that requires a lot of practice to keep so that you can put an ethical shot on an animal. if you get the opportunity. And then we have different types of shooting. There's 3D shooting at the club where you are hunting or you're shooting at foam animals, which more simulate the experience out in the woods. And then there's just target shooting for getting yourself more practice and better prepared.
For those just joining us on the Splash Live, we have the Secretary for Detroit Archers in West Bloomfield, Kevin Marshall, joining us today to talk about what to expect as hunting season continues to go on, where you can safely hunt around the area, and some tips to if you're looking to learn the sport yourself. Now, hunting is also all about safety. If you're going to do it, you got to do it the right way. What are some important tips that you can relay to help keep hunters safe, especially if they're just starting out in the sport?
Well, you have to remember that this is not to sound over dramatic, but it's a life and death situation. And especially with firearm hunting, you need to know, always assume that the gun you're holding is loaded, and know what's at and beyond, what you're shooting at and what's beyond, because if the bullets travel a long way with a lot of lethal force. When it comes to archery hunting, it's not it's much shorter ranges, and you're not as likely to be able to reach out that far. But you still need to be safe with if you're using an elevated stand where you're climbing up into a tree to hunt from above, which most archers do. You need to hoist your bow or your gun up separately and make sure it's unloaded and your arrows are in your quiver and secured, and so that you just don't have any accidents. Then, of course, always be tied off with a harness to within your tree. That's where most of the accidents that happen, I think, in the DNR reports is from hunters falling from trees more than getting shot or any weapon injuries.
Okay, some very important things to watch out for as you may be going on some of these hunting trips over this weekend or as the season continues. And Kevin, I got one more question for you before we let you go. As
Certainly.
the winter months start to creep in, snow starts to fall on the ground, how is Detroit Archers starting that process of moving things inside for this season?
Well, we will. Our summer leagues have ended. They ended in early September, and we've done with all of our outdoor shoots. We're starting up in late and early December, and then through January and through the winter, we'll have all of our leagues and events indoors, where we have a 30-yard indoor range, and there's a number of different leagues that you can join to kind of practice more on a regular basis and those kind of things. They're all listed on the website, and most of them start up right after the first of the year.
All right, really great to hear about these resources to help these hunters still get their fix for the winter season. Kevin, I want to thank you so much for your time in joining us on The Splash today.
Thank you for having me.
Always love having these conversations and always love hearing about what Detroit Archers is offering to the community. A great spot for all hunting enthusiasts to get some practice, and whether it's hunting season or not. So really grateful to have Kevin with us to tell us all about these great resources. And we've got plenty more stories to get into right after the break. Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. Bringing you stories and memories from Kego Harbor, Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
I'm Gina Gregory, president of the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. I'm excited that Civic Center TV has reached 1 million views on YouTube. Congratulations. That's just terrific. We appreciate everything Civic Center does for the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society and the community. For us, they promote and highlight our events. It's awesome to have them available 24/7 on YouTube. I'm Gina Gregory and proud to be one in a million.
One scorching heat wave will leave me powerless to cool my insulin. When the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
I'm relying on luck, but who knows if it'll be on my side.
When it comes to disasters and emergencies, it's not a matter of if, but when. Take control. 1. Assess your needs. 2. Make a plan. 3. Engage your support network. Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell.
Find local municipal meetings at our program schedule on civiccentertv.com. Find when your meetings air live or when they're replaying on our Civic Center TV live stream. Find it all at civiccentertv.com and click schedule at the top of the screen. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Jake Schaff, going over all of the biggest news and topics from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. A couple of local West Bloomfield residents just had the opportunity to appear on one of the biggest game shows in America. Jenny Bordelove and Elisa Burke were lifelong Wheel of Fortune fans. And just recently, the two best friends were able to appear on the show and take the game for a spin, pun intended. Ultimately walking away with $2,000 and a spa trip to St. Martin. Here to tell us more about their once-in-a-lifetime experience, we have Jenny Bordelove and Elisa Burke joining us on The Splash. Good morning, ladies.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Really
happy
to have you with us too, and really excited to hear about this because I've watched Wheel of Fortune for years. Really excited to hear about your experience. What was it like getting to compete on this show after being fans for so long?
It was super fun. It was way different to be in studio than it is in your family room, but we had a spectacular day and memories for a lifetime.
Awesome. That's great. I would imagine it'd be a lot trickier to play the game once you're in the studio than you are sitting at home, because at home you don't have to deal with spinning the wheel, you don't have to deal with the bankrupts or the lose-a-turns, but no, I'd imagine it was...
It is so much easier in your kitchen or in your family room. Elise and I know every puzzle when we're sitting at home by ourselves. When you're there, you know, besides being nervous, the wheel is very heavy to spin, by the way. And yeah, the luck was not on our side with the wheel. I got a couple bankrupts and a lose a turn. And a lot of times we knew the puzzles and it wasn't our turn yet. So it's a whole different game when you're actually there in the studio.
I'd imagine so. I mean, it's definitely one of those shows I've always imagined playing myself and getting that opportunity one day. What was it like having to see yourself on this show and having to keep it a secret for 4 months?
That was hard.
It was a challenge. We had so many people asking us all the time, just tell us. We won't tell anybody.
And people were tricky, trying to get answers out of us all different ways that they could. They'd say, well, how was it in the bonus round? And did you get to meet Ryan after your big winning? Like, they would try any angle with us. Like, are you getting a new car soon? Are you going on any vacations soon? It was super, super hard. We didn't even tell our parents.
Wow, people are sneaky trying to get that information. But what was it like
sneaky.
But what was it like for your family to finally see you guys on TV and to see your run?
Oh, they were shocked. They thought from the way we were talking that we hadn't won anything. We were going to go home empty-handed. But we had a big watch party and they were pleasantly surprised.
That's great, and that's great that they got to see that and that they experienced all of this vicariously through the both of you. For those
our immediate family got to come with us to California, so all our kids knew, all our kids watched, so our kids had to keep the secret as well. And they were good. They were good. You couldn't get a thing out of them.
For those just joining us on The Splash Live, we have Elisa Burke and Jenny Bordelove, West Bloomfield residents who just appeared on Wheel of Fortune and took home over $10,000 in cash and prizes, including a spa trip to St. Martin's. How does it feel to be walking away with these prizes and this incredible trip?
It's super exciting. We're trying to plan our trip right now. We couldn't plan until it aired. So we're just going back and forth with certain dates, and we're hoping to go to St. Martin in April.
And when we were actually on the show, we didn't solve a puzzle. The first 3 puzzles came and went, and we did not solve a thing. So by the time we solved our puzzle, we were so excited that we won this trip, and we were so excited to finally solve a puzzle. So it made it even more exciting.
I'd imagine so, and that's great that you won one of the biggest ones of the night. You won the prize puzzle, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
That was our goal, to win the prize puzzle.
That was our goal, right.
So as lifelong West Bloomfield residents, do you feel the community has been supportive in celebrating your Wheel of Fortune experience?
Absolutely. So many people stop us and congratulate us, and people we haven't seen in a long time. It's like, oh my God, I saw you on Wheel of Fortune, and just the interviews. I ran into somebody at the market that said, I've seen you somewhere. Have you been on the news, or do you work for the news? And I think they must have seen me on Wheel of Fortune.
I agree with Elisa. The support has been so amazing. We had over 100 people at our watch party. Everyone was just truly so excited about it. You see people wherever you go, and people are like, we watched you on the wheel. I just got back from a trip yesterday, and people on the airplane even were like, we saw you. I knew that, but they're like, we saw you on the wheel. People have been so great. Where Elisa works, where I work, everybody has been so excited for us.
That's great. And you did just mention it. You did have a big watch party at the Edgewood Country Club, and a lot of people saw your big moment right there.
Yes. we had to go back and watch it after because it was so loud. We wanted to hear us and rewatch it. So we went back to Jenny's house after, and we had our own private watch party as well.
Right. But the watch party was so fun because, as we said before, we got a few bankrupts and lose a turn. So, every time we've been a bankrupt, the crowd would, like moan. And then we finally won, and the crowd, exploded with the plot. It was really fun being in that moment with everybody.
That's so amazing. I'm glad you guys had such a great time. And what
we felt the love.
What has this experience meant for your friendship?
I think it's just like a experience you can't even imagine. Like, this will always be like such a memory for us. Every step of the way, we'd be like, oh my God, what if we made it to the next round? What if we made it to the next round? What if we actually got onto the show? So sometimes we look back and think about it, and we're like, did that really happen? It's all been so surreal. We both feel so lucky that we were able to have this memory with each other and this experience with each other. Right, Elisa?
Yes, and we've celebrated so many milestones together. We've been friends since we were 5. Our families are close. Our kids are now close, and we've done so many things together. So this is just one more memory that we've made.
Oh, I love to hear that.
This probably tops it all, though.
That's right.
Okay, I got one more question for the two of you before we let you go. If given the chance to
I knew you were going to ask that.
Of course. If given the chance to compete on Wheel of Fortune again, what would you do differently, or would you keep the approach the same?
We definitely would change a few things. We would take turns spinning the wheel and guessing the letters, and maybe we would be a little bit more calm just because we know it's in what it involves now.
We'd hope that our nerves wouldn't get the best of us. Right.
But we did it. We had a great time. It was a fabulous experience, and we still laugh about it.
I'm glad you had a great time, and I'm glad you get to experience these memories for many, many years to come. Elisa, Jenny, thank you both so much for your time today.
Thanks for having us.
So many great memories to come from this experience, and glad to hear that they had such a great time and they're going to have an amazing trip to St. Martin. But that's going to do it for us today on The Splash Live. I've been your host, Jake Schaff. Big thank you to Kevin McIntosh for his package earlier, and big thank you to Tyler Kieft and Calvin Brown at Master Control. Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.